Hello and welcome to this first podcast. With me today I have Erik from Built by Vikander. Today we are at Aeroseum. We have had a big hobby fair here for 2 days, and this is an old Air Force underground base.
This is an atomic bomb-proof shelter deep inside the Swedish mountain.
I think it's built in 1954.
Yes, and it was not used for very long because it was too small to actually have the more modern fighter jet stored here.
Yeah.
This is a test. This is our first podcast, or actually Vodd. Vodd. The idea is to present ourselves and to discuss how did we get into the hobby. The hobby of driving RC tanks.
Yes.
Driving and building RC tanks.
Building RC tanks. We build more than we drive, actually, I think. We spend more hours on building.
Some of us, one of us do.
Okay then.
Just to be clear, we're actually sitting in one of Aeroseum's displays. This is actually to represent how it could look in a Swedish home in the 1950s. We are at the end of the hobby exhibition here at Aeroseum. So people are walking all around and they are starting to wrap things up. This is the Sunday afternoon after a great weekend.
Very great weekend.
We have been driving so much RC tanks that you wouldn't believe it.
Yesterday I had fika leftover because I didn't have time to eat.
Exactly, we don't have time to eat or drink, so we are completely exhausted after this weekend. But it's so much fun, and it's we get to meet a lot of interested people and speak to them about our models.
So Erik, how did your interest for tanks or military vehicles, how did it start?
It started when I made my conscription at one of the armored regiments here in Sweden. I was a driver of a Swedish PBB 401. That's the old Soviet MTLB APC, armored personnel carrier.
Yeah. Is that a Soviet or Eastern?
It was a Soviet design, but it was bought from East Germany after the Berlin Wall was tear down. The Swedish army bought hundreds of them in a way to mechanize the infantry. I think we were among the last to have an education on the MTLB or the 401 because it was scrapped shortly after that.
Too bad.
Yeah, but anyhow, it was an amazing machine to drive. It was completely analog, and it had a terrain capability that was unmatched. It could go anywhere, and it was so fun to drive. And I love RC cars, so I thought, why not try to build my own RC tank?
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So how did the interest start for you?
My interest for tanks is a bit shorter than yours. So my military service was driver at a TGB 13, the 3-axle TGB variant.
What's a TGB?
Terrain. It's a terrain truck. It's a smaller terrain truck.
A Volvo?
A Volvo, of course, yeah.
Volvo C303?
303, yeah, it's the proper name for it. Yeah. But we call them 11 or 13. There's a variant called 20 as well, a bit longer than the 13. Mainly for troop transport. Right,
but you did your service at the mortar regiment, or?
Yeah, infantry.
Infantry, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We towed an old mortar, a 12 centimeter diameter barrel, and a 7 centimeter as well. Mostly the 7 centimeter we used. I think ours was stamped 1943, so I did my military service in the late 90s, so it was quite old.
Bra.
Simma lugnt. Swim calm. I was interested. I've been driving the off-road competition as well, so I've always liked terrain driving, and later I found out that tanks was cool, mainly through the World of Tanks gang.
Right.
So one of my favorites are the Cromwell. So my first build now here, the RC tank is a Cromwell. Right. So that's how it's. I find your I find your YouTube channel via a friend. He said, check this one out. He builds cool stuff, and I actually saw your M39 build.
Yeah, right.
That's the first one I saw. And
I remember that because you started to write to me at my Instagram account, and we kept texting. I think for the rest of that day, I was on my way up from actually a meet in Hässleholm.
Okay, cool.
With Mini Pansar.
Yeah.
And I wondered who's this guy writing to me, and it was you. And it turned out you live pretty not far from where I live, so.
It's 20 minutes.
Yeah. So that was cool.
We measure distance in minutes, right?
Yeah.
Not in
Exactly.
actually length.
But okay, so you found my YouTube channel, and you thought that this could be something.
For many years, like 10 or 15 years, built RC crawlers, and didn't really have time. I was building real cars, big cars, and then I found your YouTube channel, and I thought, wow, I really want to get into RC again. And yeah, RC tanks looks cool. I like tanks. I've been to the Swedish Arsenalen Museum a couple of times, and I played the Wall of Tanks game, so I know which tank I wanted to build, and that was a Cromwell. I watched your films, how you built, and I did a complete opposite. I just bought a 3D printer actually, like a month before.
Yeah.
I already had a 3D printer.
Right.
I was going to make stuff for the bigger cars, vent ducts and stuff like that.
Yeah, because you actually renovate real cars, old Land Rovers.
Yes, old Land Rovers. I modify them quite a lot. I build hot rods as well. But I found out that RC tanks take less space.
But they're just as fun.
Just as fun. More fun actually, I think. And so I started to build the Cromwell. I invented the wheel a couple of times. I have seen your tanks. I've done things quite differently.
Yeah.
It seems to work.
Yeah.
I've actually tested it. We'll maybe cut in some film of me driving the Cromwell like I stole it. So it seems to keep together.
Yeah.
But this chair is getting a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's a bit hard, yeah.
It's a bit hard. Change location.
Sure, yeah.
This way?
Sure.
Yes.
Alright, welcome back. As you can see, we are not in the Lyceum Air Force Museum anymore. Where are we exactly, Martin?
We are at home in my garage, among my other hobby things.
Yeah, we had to change location because of the noise at the Lyceum. We tried to make a vlog and record everything there, but the museum was closing and there was a lot of people moving around, talking and moving stuff. The sound couldn't be used, unfortunately.
So we changed location 3 times when we were there. Sounds interesting. So,
So what about you? What's the next stop for
So this is a much better, more silent area than the. Sadly, you will not see anything of it. So anyway,
I think the 3D printer has made a huge difference for people like you and I that are working with hobby stuff. Things that took forever to make before can be made in a couple of hours. Like the hard things. I mean, the hard things to make on a tank model, the tracks and the drive sprocket, and to make them by hand, it will take forever. But a 3D printer can produce this stuff in a matter of days.
I mean, if you have a file and a block of aluminium, it will make track links. It will take years.
Yeah.
Same here. The 3D printer has really opened up everything when building stuff like this.
Yeah, and if you also know a little bit of CAD and know how to draw your own 3D files, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah, sure. Both this and the KV2 are bought files. This is just right out of the box, 3D printed and put together. I didn't change almost anything.
Yeah, so even if you don't know how to draw your own things in CAD, you can buy files, you can buy models and use your 3D printer at home to make complete large-scale RC tanks today.
And if you are too cheap to buy The fight for the KV2 was free.
Yeah. And where did you find them?
Thingiverse.
Thingiverse.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But it was a 110 scale KV1.
All right. Yeah, because you scaled this to 1:6 scale.
Yeah, yeah. I wanted to try to 3D print and see if it works. So the hull and everything is 3D printed on this one. So my aim was to make a really lightweight 1:6. It's not really lightweight. It's over 30 kilos.
Yeah, yeah. And I must say, I mean, the time it has taken you to complete this, I think it's an incredible achievement you made. To be able to this quickly put together a working tank, I think it's very impressive.
Thank you. It's 5 or 6 months, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess I've got some work left to do, but it's running good now. I lined the tracks much better at the hobby fair when I was driving it. The road wheels was not aligned at all, so it threw the tracks off the drive sprockets. But now it holds perfectly. I just need to stiffen the suspension. It's too soft. And a few things. I've started to building the mud guards for it in sheet metal instead of plastic.
Yeah, and where does the sheet metal come from?
It could be window sills.
I think it's perfect. It's excellent.
Thank you. Yeah.
Speaking of CAD program, what type of CAD program do you use when you make your stuff?
I use a really simple and basic one called Tinkercad. It's web-based, free, and if you put some time in it, you can make really advanced stuff as well.
Because you made your Cromwell entirely in Tinkercad.
Yeah, that's right. The drive sprockets, the road wheels, the tracks, the gun, and all the details. It's not really ready yet, but it will be soon. I mean, this one just came between, and this one came between, and I guess next project might come between. Yeah, all the stuff for the Cromwell is in Tinkercad.
Awesome.
What CAD program do you use?
I use FreeCAD. It's a free-to-use CAD program. A couple of years ago I learned a bit CATIA, and CATIA is pretty similar to FreeCAD in many ways. Okay. I think FreeCAD has a very mechanical feel to it, and it's excellent when you're making stuff like tanks with many parts that should have been machined in other way, otherwise. Okay, cool.
I've actually used FreeCAD for 5 or 10 minutes. I have a whole tank in FreeCAD. That's a future project.
Awesome.
Yeah. Speaking of projects, I've seen some film about the baguette launcher.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I'm making a French tank, a Renault AMR 35 actually in 1:4 scale.
Wow.
Yeah, so this will be my first 1:4 scale tank.
Is it because you want to build a bigger tank?
No, not exactly. Despite the large scale, the AMR 35 will actually be a very small tank, less than a meter.
Cool. So it's much smaller than the 1:6 Centurion.
Yes,
right?
Definitely. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
So that's pretty cool.
Why then?
Well, it all started when our good friend Hans, who made the Bambine 206 that you can see in the movie from Arceum. He was down in Germany visiting Hausen am Bach, where they have a large RC tank meet every year.
Okay.
And the tanks are huge. Many of them are in 1:4 scale, and we are talking Leopard 2s. They are gigantic. They are big.
They are big.
Yeah, they're big. And he took some pictures and published it on our Mini Panzer community. And I saw those pictures, and I thought that it would be cool to make a small and nimble model in the same scale as the huge ones.
Oh yeah. Easier to haul around and still a 1:4.
Exactly. So the goal is to visit Hausen am Bach in the future and to be able to put this tiny tank next to the huge ones, but they will still be in the same scale.
So it's the ant among the elephants.
Yes, definitely. Cool. Yeah, cool. And it turned out that Hans was also inspired by. I mean, if I got inspired by his images, by his pictures, I can imagine. I just can't imagine how it would be to be there.
Actually seeing them.
Actually seeing them, yeah, exactly. So Hans is actually also building a 1:4 scale Bambang 206, a Korean version of the Swedish 206. Yeah. So, and we saw it in Arceum.
We saw it in Arceum, yeah.
The
Korean camouflage.
Yeah, exactly. It's quite impressive, and he's a very experienced and skillful builder.
Yeah.
We have already mentioned it, but what's the status of the KV2?
The KV2 is drivable, it drives good. I have some work to do, details, mud guards and stiffer springs, but so far I'm very satisfied with how it works. I did some changes I had to do when upscaling it. The trailing arms, I didn't trust just 3D printed trailing arms. I tried that in the Cromwell and I broke it in Denmark, as you have seen. So on the Cromwell it's steel as well. This is round pipes, steel pipes, and they seem to hold really good. As we mentioned, the tensioning wheel arms is steel as well, parts of them, and yeah, small changes, and even the drivetrain, of course, the drivetrain couldn't be used at all with the 3D printed 1 to 10. So this is powered like everything else we built to power drills. So I made the brackets and everything for that one. So it's belt driven, so it's actually copied right from the Cromwell. Yeah, this will also have gear 1 and 2. It's perfectly good on the first gear, but sometimes we need to go from the parking lot to the forest. And
it's nice with a bit of speed then.
Yeah, it's running along in a good pace, but sometimes you need to get from A to B a bit quicker.
Yeah.
So this will be 2 servos. Actually, I bought some Y cables the other day, got them, so I will have 2 servos for that one. But the turret rotation and the gun elevation, everything works really, really good. The gun is very heavy, of course, so I need a counterweight inside the turret, or else the servo, you hear that all the time, try to fight the hold the gun up. So that's why in relaxed mode now it's just pointing down. Yeah, small stuff, but I still have a lot to do. What can we expect from your YouTube channel in the future? Do you have anything in the pipe, so to speak?
Yeah, I have a long list of things. There are so many fun tanks out there that I want to build, but I do have 3D printed parts ready for a couple models, like the T55 and the British A13 cruiser tank, inspired by your Cromwell actually.
Oh, cool!
Yeah, so when I get to it, they are ready to be built. But right now I'm focusing on getting the AMR finished.
Anything else you focus on at home except tanks now?
Yes, we do have a little kid at home, a little boy who is 4.5 months old right now. So there hasn't been a lot of updates on the AMR recently. I can promise you that there will be more of that in the future. But
once he's old enough to help, it will be
double pace, exactly, double speed. Yeah, he's not old enough to carry the tools yet.
Okay.
But yeah, I can see I want the 4-scale RSO in the future, definitely. Perhaps with cast tracks, wouldn't that be nice?
That would be very nice. So we have to learn to cast tracks.
Exactly, and speaking of cast tracks, don't you have a model waiting for you?
Perhaps, yeah.
What's the story behind that? Someone gave you a model?
Yeah, it fell in my lap, actually. And funny thing is, I was in my head planning on building a IKV-91, a Swedish tank destroyer, a very light and fast tank with a big gun. And at one of our meetings in your old regiment in Skövde, there was a guy talking to me, an old man talking to me about the Cromwell. We were talking about the same there, future project. And I mentioned the IKV-91, and he said, I started to build one of those in the 80s. He was working then as a tank technician on the AKV, among other tanks. And he started to build a 1 to 6 scale model in steel. He has a welded hull, and he had made some track links in cast aluminium. And he said, I can have that. So I got that for free.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I think I have the hull in here somewhere.
So you need to cast new tracks for it. So
yeah,
you need to learn how to cast in aluminum.
Yeah, he had 5 or 6 of them. So a couple of aluminium rims from the junkyard, and I think we're there.
Yeah. How hard can it be?
How hard can it be, yeah. People do it, why can't I do it? So yeah, that's the one future project for me, the IKV-91. Cool. Yeah, and my wife wants a wheeled armored personnel carrier, an old Swedish one from the 40s. It's called Karosseri Pansar M42. So in English that's an armored truck, M42. They were built by both Scania and Volvo. We want to build a Volvo version. So yeah, that's a wheeled truck. So for me it's easier to build because I have been working on building RC cars for a long time. So this will just be like an RC car with a truck, armored truck body on top of it.
Perfect.
So I have some material, plywood and stuff bought for that one. So that will be in the future as well. And some of you might know there is a French tank in my pipe as well.
Yeah, there are, right?
Yeah, so we'll see.
So there we are. This was the first episode of our Vodd. I hope you liked it. How did you think it went, Martin?
I think it went extremely well. This was among the best things I've ever recorded. I think it went good.
Yeah, this too. Even though we had to change location from Aeroseum with all the cool planes and stuff to
boring garage.
No, this is not boring at all. No, this is the coolest thing ever. We will be doing more of this in the future. Let us know in the comments below if you liked it.
Yeah, and subjects you want us to talk about?
Yeah, please write if you want us to talk about anything in particular that has
We
to
have-
do with remote control tanks.
Yeah, we have some things we want to do. We will be testing track links. We will be testing actually printing materials. I mean, if you ask the internet the question, what filament do I want to use for tracks? It will get 10 different answers, I guess. So we will try PLA and ABS and PETG and
ASA.
stuff like that and see when they break. Let us know in the comment if you got more ideas.
Thank you very much for watching.
And if you like this episode, give it a thumbs up. And if you didn't like it, give it 2 thumbs down. See you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.